when we think about the issue that the average person runs into when it comes to nutrition, it is the addictive quality. And it is the chemicals too, let's be honest. And the degree to which our food or food-like substances are chemicals and made based on scientists working for these food companies to make it highly addictive so that we buy more and more and we eat more and more, that whole part of it needs to go away. To me, that's absolutely criminal and should be ended instantly. But we take that to another level. The addictive quality of carbohydrates themselves, it does the same thing. You think about the symptoms you have when you aren't having the carbs, when you go through these periods of time, and we have this, there's a word for it now, it's called hangry. Yeah. Right? I mean, we've, in our culture, we've made a joke of it, but that's a serious thing. People are so addicted to sugars and carbohydrates that they're having exactly what you just described, much like an alcoholic having withdrawals from not having a drink. When those symptoms go away by having a drink, that doesn't reinforce this idea that, whoa, I guess I need to have another drink. But for some reason with nutrition, that's what we do. We get these symptoms, we get headaches, we get irritable, all these different things. And then when we have a meal, we feel better. So we've justified, well, I just need to eat more frequently. No, you need to eliminate that which you're addicted to and break the addiction. So some people, much like alcohol, some people can have a little bit of sugar and feel fine and not have more and not feel called to more. Some people are probably on some level lying to themselves. They have a little too much, feel some change from it, and feel some need for some more, but they can function. I think we see that with alcohol as well, right? But then we've got the vast majority, if you ask me, of people who, with sugar, they know once I have one, I'm going to have what's in front of me, and I just can't have it. Well, that's the answer then. Recognize that you are addicted. And I would argue that with sugar, it isn't an addiction for life necessarily. If you get yourself to a point through fasting, maybe through a ketogenic diet, which is ultimately a fasting mimicking diet, it's been referred to as. So you're eliminating the sugars that you're addicted to, the carbs that you're addicted to. You're introducing more of these fats so that your body is sustained energetically longer, and you're getting rid of that the spike and crash of the blood sugar, which I will say that'll transition us into something that I really want to stress today. This came up with a conversation with a client recently. Dealing with some difficulty of not seeing the scale move as much as she would like, although she is doing a lot of good. She's doing her fasting, she's getting her exercising in, she's been working on her morning routine, evening routine. There's a lot for her to be focusing on that I believe if she were to focus just on what has changed with the adjustments she's made, she'd recognize she's making far more progress than she's giving herself credit for. And if we can do that, if we can pressure the process like we talk about a lot instead of pressuring the results, we get less stressed, which brings me to the next point. We need to think about the hormones, right? So when it comes to fat loss, two key hormones to think about are insulin and glucagon. All right, so insulin is going to help kind of shuttle the sugar out of the blood, if you will. We ate a meal, we have some sugar in our blood, we need to do something with that. We need to store it in some cells. So we're going to get it in some muscle tissue, we're going to get it into some fat tissue, we're going to put it somewhere. When insulin is up, glucagon is down. Glucagon is what's necessary to pull the sugar back out in a usable form. So what we tend to see is we're eating an awful lot. So our blood sugar is up an awful lot. Insulin is up an awful lot. Therefore, glucagon is down an awful lot, right? We incorporate some fasting. Now we switch that. Now the glucagon's up. Now the insulin's down. Now we can start to tap into our stores. So now we can pull that glycogen out of the stores. If we're active, we can burn through those glycogen stores pretty quick from the muscle. And then what else can I use? I still need some energy. Glycogen's gone. Now what? So now we tap into some of the real benefits of autophagy. We can use all the damaged and dying cells through the body, the proteins floating around and such, which an added bonus of that is now we are actually less vulnerable to cancer because we have fewer damaged cells in the body. We have less systemic inflammation in the body. So that's a whole nother layer of benefit there.
And you're saying that this is a main benefit of fasting.
Fasting will absolutely do this. You don't need to fast to get these benefits, but definitively fasting will do this for you. Yes.
Now, I've heard also similarly that like a ketogenic diet, like for people that are already suffering with some form of cancer, like I don't know how far the studies have gone, but can like stop the growth of the tumors.
Yes, there's a lot of cancers we've found that are essentially fed by sugar. So if we do a combination of keto and fasting, we can absolutely help them. Now, there's an awful lot of forms of cancer. So there are some that are not fueled by sugars. So the keto and fasting approach won't necessarily be as beneficial for them. There is still some debate there. There's a ton of research going into it. Dr. Annette Bosworth is she's fantastic with this. She's got a book out there called Any Way You Can, in which she talks about her mom's journey through it. And this is actually something I just shared with a client the other day as well. So we'll take a slight pivot now and talk a little bit more about the cancer, but we'll come back to the hormones. Chemo may very well be the miracle drug that we thought it was, and it's just not being used properly. If we go into a chemo treatment in a fasted state, we're finding it is having profound benefits, where we know we hear about chemo, as great as it is for killing the cancer cells, it equally kills all the beneficial, healthy body cells, right? In a fasted state, the cells, this is the best way I heard it explained that kind of makes sense. So dig a little deeper. If you want something deeper, there's some other people out there, comment, question, I'll give you some feedback on it. But a very layman way of looking at this is our healthy body cells have essentially a code. In a fasted state, that code reverses. The cancer cells mimic the code of our healthy cells, but the cancer cells cannot reverse the code in a fasted state the way that the body cells can. So with that in mind, going through a chemo treatment in a fasted state, we damage the cancer cells. We don't damage the body cells as much.